What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Now, whether or not you've watched channels like mine for a while or you're just finding the genre, one question that's been mulled over exhaustively since the end of Avengers Endgame is whether or not Robert Downey Jr. would ever reprise his role as Tony Stark in Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, in a recent interview with Extra for Dr. Doolittle, he was able to answer the question in a way that we haven't heard before, and quite honestly in a way that I would never expect, and it's going to have Marvel fans super excited. He gave a joking answer at first and then followed it up with very thoughtful dialogue. We're going to break down exactly what he said in terms of returning to the Iron Man role in the MCU, and as I said, if you're a fan, it's going to have you excited. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel related stuff, including a limited edition Infinity Saga box set. All you have to do to be entered to win, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around at the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Now, in the prologue, I mentioned that some of you may be finding the genre for the first time, but for the rest of you, you'll know that we've well chronicled all of the details and facts regarding Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU, and in the last 6 months, there's been a ton of them. Initially, a lot of people thought that that pre-recorded message for his daughter was actually an AI, and that we could expect to see Robert Downey Jr. in AI holographic form going forward in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was then reported by Jeff Goldblum, who had just done his voiceover for Marvel's What If, that Robert Downey Jr. would be coming back to be Iron Man in that episode, and quickly debunked and confirmed to be false. As it was reported initially, Robert Downey Jr. didn't even want to come back to retake his last line, "I am Iron Man," after he thought that he had initially wrapped on the character for good, considering how emotional it was for him, and with his death and poignant finish to his arc, that was all he needed to say goodbye to the character and finally move on in his career. But as I said then, and I'm going to repeat now, it's like asking a quarterback right after they've lost in the playoffs if he's going to retire. He feels a lot differently 60 to 90 days after that, and especially after a couple of years go by. And now, with the completion of his most recent film, and the first one he's done since Avengers Endgame, Dr. Doolittle, and while on the press circuit for that, in an interview with Extra, he was asked about ever coming back as Iron Man, and this is what he had to say. "Yeah, anything could happen. I'm really enjoying," and he presumably was going to finish that sentence with "life," when his wife interrupted and joked that his refusal to rule out a comeback would have all the fans going crazy. He then adjusted his tone and clarified by responding, "As far as I'm concerned, I hung up my guns and I'm good to let it go. I also think Marvel is on this journey now, and they're trying a bunch of other stuff. I'm excited for them to see how it all goes. It's hard to project." But he again wouldn't rule out a comeback at all, wouldn't say he would never do it, and you have to imagine someone like Robert Downey Jr., who really grew into the role of Tony Stark and encompassed the character and had been doing it for over a decade, would have felt a sense of completion and achievement with finishing the character, but also may now feel a profound sense of emptiness where year to year Avengers and Marvel Studios and Iron Man would have been playing a huge role in his life. He doesn't have any of that anymore. Let another couple of years go by and he may be chomping at the bit to come back. Now, obviously, the upcoming animated What If series was the best opportunity for him to do it. He could have done his voiceover in less than a day in any sound studio in LA, but again, that's been debunked and confirmed that he will not be coming back for the animated series at all. But what does that mean a couple of phases down the road whenever we lead to the big culmination crossover event like Secret Wars? Could we ever see a Tony AI hologram? Perhaps, but this is the Pandora's box that I brought up when we initially projected this or conjectured it at the end of Avengers Endgame, and the problem you run into. Once you introduce an AI Tony Stark into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you then have to close Pandora's box and explain why you won't be using him every film after that. And then once you've set up this AI that exists, you have to pay Robert Downey Jr. insane Robert Downey Jr. money to come back and simply do voiceovers over his AI holographic form, which really doesn't make sense from anybody's standpoint, but Marvel Studios most of all, to pay all this money for an amazing actor like Robert Downey Jr. and then have to pigeonhole him through a couple of small scenes and as a hologram at that. Now, this leads to yet another problem of having other characters unable to grow into the role that Iron Man would play, unable to take a lead role, especially in the case of Peter Parker. And I think that Robert Downey Jr. realizes that, with his quote being very aware, saying they're trying to do a bunch of other stuff. It's hard to project. It's hard to see what's coming down the road, but you've got to imagine, as good of friends as he's become with Kevin Feige, all the top brass, over at Marvel Studios, if he knows there's a Secret Wars down the road, a place where he could possibly come back, he wouldn't rule that out. It wouldn't make any sense, and not just as fan service, something that we would all want to see, something that Chris Evans said, I'll come back if it's the right moment, not to make everybody excited. We definitely could have the right moment. Could you imagine if we're somewhere deep in the second act needing an answer to some sort of technology, and all of a sudden via Edith or some other system in the Avengers mansion, we have the Tony Stark that we need in AI form? It would be such a hype moment. But let's recall that Marvel Studios loves to not overshadow their main projects, and can you imagine any new project being able to flourish, even an untitled Avengers 5, if all of a sudden there's a rumor or a leaked confirmation or a set photo of Robert Downey Jr. reprising his role of Iron Man? All of a sudden that becomes the only news, and that's what I would definitely warn against here in the coming weeks and what's coming up with Marvel Studios. Look, they have a ton of stuff that they want to achieve with all of these new franchises. They are going to attempt and maybe even fail at a couple of new genres along the way, and as news yesterday of Scott Derrickson leaving Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness over quote-unquote creative differences, it's hard to project exactly what's going to happen with any of this, as Robert Downey Jr. said, but don't be expecting him to show up or cameo in anything anytime soon. Let's be reasonable and use critical thinking here. When he comes back, and if he does, it's going to have to be in a very important moment narratively, and when it wouldn't ruin and cheapen his death, which is the ultimate problem here. As soon as you have Iron Man back offering his new opinions, not in a pre-recorded message, then all of a sudden you've undone all of the sacrifice he made to save the entire universe and keep it that way, and that's cheapening his death in a way that undoes his arc. No one's willing to do that. Robert Downey Jr. is not willing to do that. Kevin Feige's not willing to do that. Marvel Studios isn't willing to do that. And most of all, us the fans don't want him to. But if you wait 4 or 5 years, 2 or 3 more phases, you allow a ton of franchises, a ton of narrative to happen, things to take place, stakes to happen while he's not involved, then it doesn't feel quite as cheap if he drops in on an event that's, say, somewhere 5 to 10 years down the road in the storyline. And that does make sense. Then there have been stakes. Then things have happened where he hasn't been able to help, instead of turning around and having him involved in the next Avengers, which I can guarantee won't happen. If he's not signing up to do this What If animated series in the next 24 months, he won't be doing any cameos in any future Marvel films. One final thought I'll leave you with. Yes, I know we are getting scenes of Robert Downey Jr. in a cameo in Black Widow, but guys, that's archived footage, something that was already shot back when they shot Civil War, that doesn't involve Robert Downey Jr. on set saying any new lines, so that's quite different. As well as, I also know people have mentioned there's going to be presumably some time travel and multiverse travel. Couldn't we get, say, Tony Stark from the 1610 or the 1616 universe instead of our 616 continuity, and then still have him in the MCU? But again, if it's Robert Downey Jr. who has to play that character, then it's not going to happen. And why would he do that? Now he'd be Iron Man all over again without all of the connective tissue and the arc that he had in the MCU. Guys, no matter how you split it, it just doesn't make sense. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this, when and if you'd like to see Robert Downey Jr. back, if he'd ever be willing to come back, and if you agree with me that if it's anytime soon, that it just would cheapen everything in the sacrifice he made. No one's really wanting to see that anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments, and quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which is at the 600,000 subscriber mark. We just gave one away days ago for the 550,000 subscriber mark. If you missed that announcement, it's just a couple of videos back and it says it in the title. All you have to do to be entered to win, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and that'll automatically enter you to win all the rest of the prizes here at the channel, including the limited edition Infinity Saga box set. We just gave one away on New Year's Eve. She received it yesterday. Jessica A, congratulations. She's also set to be deployed, so if you could join me in congratulating her and being a winner, but also thanking her for protecting the country of your U.S. citizen, I would sincerely appreciate that. If you want to be entered to win any of the prizes, the upcoming PlayStation 4 Pros, the last Infinity Saga box set, or any of the future prizes that we announce here at the channel, as I've mentioned many times, we'll be doubling down throughout 2020. All the same rules apply. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, and if you've missed past winners, they're easy to find. Just scroll back through the channel and look in the titles. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Guys, I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for helping me build what is one of the fastest growing fan Marvel communities on YouTube or really any other platform, and it means the world to me to get to do this with you guys. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Thanks for checking out the channel, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.